What's up? 2009 Chevy Colorado doing the starter. They say you got to remove the intake manifold on these Chevy Colorados. It's a big job, requires a lot of labor just to do the starter, removing the whole intake manifold. Chevy Colorado single cab. This one is a manual, not extended, single cab basic. .9, 2009 Chevy Colorado. Now, I'll show you the front end. Now, we're doing the starter. You can see I got the old starter out. Got the new starter ready to go back in. Pretty simple starter. This bolt on the back is the pain in the butt. Then you got this bolt on the front side, nice and easy. You got your battery positive cable there and your signal wire from the ignition. Then you got your ground from the solenoid to the starter. You don't touch the ground, you leave that there, and you just disconnect the positive from the battery and the signal wire there. So we got same deal here, same starter. Now on the new ones, I always recommend, and this was ordered on eBay, he bought it and brought it to me. I always recommend checking that this is tight, ground from solenoid to starter motor, that it's tight. Sometimes, these are mass produced in China or wherever, and you want to make sure just that it's nice and snug, getting good continuity. You don't want to over torque it, you don't want to break it, you just want to put a ratchet on it and check it. 1/4 inch ratchet, 13 mil socket, deep socket, and just make sure it's got good tension on it and it's nice and snug before you install it. And this would be a 13 mil on the top too. So anyways, most people would remove the intake manifold to do this job. It's hard to get to, really hard to get to. You got to remove this whole entire intake manifold to have access to it. And this intake manifold, I don't like the way it was designed. It goes down deep. It has a lot of hidden bolts down under there. I disconnected your fuel line coming in. I disconnected where the oil dipstick bolts to the intake manifold. All this is loose. Dipstick is loose, and this normally bolts right there. So I used a couple 10 mil basic ratchets to get that off. Fuel quick disconnect tool to get the fuel line off. From the bottom side, you want to disconnect these brackets. You want to disconnect those plastic brackets right there. This is your fuel return line and pressure line, and you can see I just let it hang there. So instead of removing the whole entire intake manifold, I decided to cheat, and you can see I got the zip tied out of the way so this can be unzip tied and cover the hole again. But I also took my grinder and cut this inner fender aluminum cover out. Now, before you start bitching about that, I left enough meat here to where I can drill some holes. Drill a couple holes. Drill a couple holes right all the way across. So now I can put that piece that I cut out back, zip tie it back, drilling some holes. Boop, 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 boop. Done. Put that back. You're going to say, well, that looks ugly, Danny, and it's not going to be strong anymore like when it was all welded. Who cares? It doesn't need to be strong. The only purpose that hole, that aluminum piece that I cut out had was to keep like the mud and the water and everything when it rains to get splashed in there. And we're going to put it back and zip tie it, and it'll be nice and snug and tight. Obviously, if somebody were to kick it or whatever, it'd go out. But it is a unibody truck. It's not like the old Chevys where they were frame and body separate. You can't separate Oh, actually, no. Hold on. No, this is a frame truck. Here's the frame right here. I thought these Colorados were unibody. I take that back. So here's the frame. This is just part of the cab chassis, and I didn't cut into the cab. I just cut a little chunk of that out, and that's just like a fender cover to protect the engine bay. And then it's not going to be visible once it's zip tied, because this will be unzip tied from there and be clipped back down the way it should go. So this cover will be over that, and it'll cover all that. In the future, if you ever needed to do a rack and pinion, service the yoke for any reason, anything else, any other sensors in here you need to access, you do got a couple sensors. You have an access door now where you can access this. And the main reason I did it was to get the starter in and out. I cheated. Yeah, nice and quick and easy. See, these are the lines, and they move. They're loose. So I move them out of the way. This is a hot water pipe, and you can see it runs over here. And that bracket bolts to the back of the tranny there. So I loosen that. And then I loosen this bracket here, where it goes to that bolt hole right there. And that is these harnesses don't let you see, they're all up in the way. You see that wobbler right there? So I got a wobbler there going from that extension to this wobbler here, and that stud, that socket would get the nut off of that stud. Here's the nut. So to put this back on, I'm going to shove a little piece of paper over it, force it onto the socket so it won't fall out, put it back into that socket, shove it into there, fish the starter in, and then be able to twist this. You see how I got it running through here? So there's the wobbler I just showed you, a little MacGyver trick. And then you twist this by hand, feel that the thread is catching correctly, not cross threading, and then just drive it in by hand and then finish it with the ratchet. And so that's the top nut for the starter. And then on the bottom, it takes a bolt. So the bolt is a 15 mil. A 15 mil bolt for the bottom side, and that's easy peasy to get to. I cracked it loose with a deep 15 and a flex head ratchet, and then I finished it off with the little small gear wrench. And the other bolt was a 13 mil, and that is the bolt that went on the back of that bracket that I showed you from the hot water pipe. On the back of the motor over there, went in. So I got that out, and then this one was a, what the heck was that one? I think that one was a 10 mil. Little 10 mil. And I used for the one, yeah, I used this to crack it loose. It's a little flex head, 1/4 inch ratchet, 13 mil. For the one on the water pipe on the back of the engine that way, cracked it loose with this and then finished it by hand, and then put the 10 mil socket short on this and got the other one off over there. Now another thing you're going to need to know to do this is for the return line. This plastic clip right here, you think it pulls out, right? Think it pulls out, but it doesn't. To release, you push it in. You push it in like that all the way, not out. See, when it pushes out, it actually locks. You push it all the way in and pull up and separate the two, and that's how you release that from the groove on the line right there. And you can see the vapor coming out to return line from the fuel tank. So move that line, because that comes up through there. Twist these other ones out of the way. You know how to do the bolts. This hot water pipe you loosen there and there, and what I did was bend it up, and then this harness will just move out of the way, and all I'm doing is moving these out of the way just enough. There's a ABS sensor in the way. All I'm doing is just making enough room to bring that starter and slide it in here. Line that back bolt up in there, bolt hole. Through this stud sticks out. It'll sit on the stud. Put the bottom one in, snug it up. Have your socket already loaded with the nut, piece of paper nice and tight. Start fishing it. But before you get all that, you guys also want to remember, don't you forget to do the positive battery connector cable. And then here's your plug for the starter. So you want to get those two connected. Get the starter fished in there, just kind of set it up on the stud over there, and go to connecting those two. Get your bottom nut through, start mocking everything up, thread everything in by hand, nice and easy, click, click, click. Getting this twisted by hand, then finish it off with the ratchet. It's a lot of tight working with both hands, feeling your way through this. But you want to make sure, again, like I said, you tighten the ground, make sure that it's already tight. Red battery wire here, plug here. Easy hard nut on the back side, easy bolt on the front side. Starter is in. Angle grinder, cut all that out. I know they're not the best cuts in the world, but it's dark out here, the mosquitoes are brutal, and I'll shave that down with a file and get all the sharp edges off, drill some holes, and then we'll have a permanent access door. I'll most likely be the asshole working on this again in the future, and now I have a little access door. The customer, we discussed the labor versus me doing the shortcut method, pros and cons doing it this way, and we discussed the labor and additional parts if I were to have to remove the intake manifold to have access to the starter. There really isn't that much access to it by removing the transmission, and we're not going to drop a transmission to do a starter, so that's out of the question. So it's either remove the intake manifold on this or cheat the way I'm cheating. And you say, oh, I don't want my truck to be cut out like that, Danny, what the hell? Well, you know what? Then pay the labor to have the intake manifold and all the parts removed. Cry me a river. Hate to say it. But this little piece of metal, which I kept and I'm going to be zip tying back on, it doesn't need to be like stiff or strong. This is the frame of the truck, and that's what really holds the truck together. And then the cab is bolted to the frame, and the chassis, the cab, everything is still there. It wasn't cut. This is just a little piece of thin aluminum that they put here to keep like mud and water as this wheel is spinning in here from splashing inside the engine and keeping the engine clean. And then this goes over that, right? So if like rocks or anything, so it'll be zip tied down tight enough. I'll drill enough little holes. I'm not just gonna do like 4 of them. I'll do at least like maybe, I meant 4 in total, like 1, 2, 3, 4. No, I'm gonna do like 4 through here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and make it nice and tight with 8 holes and 8 zip ties. And if this ever needs to be accessed, snip, snip, snip on the zip ties, pull that little aluminum piece out, bend this out of the way, and stick your hand in there nice and yummy and do an easy starter. So this ain't for everybody, I get it. A lot of people will criticize it, and a lot of people will appreciate it. Whichever one you are, it is what it is. It's the route we decided to go. Me and the customer made the decision. It's nighttime. Sorry about the poor light quality, but this is one of those where it's a little work truck and he needs it back ASAP, and he needed a quick starter put in it. And if you own one of these and you need a quick starter put back in it, you want to do it yourself, you don't want to pay an arm and a leg labor, you don't want your intake manifold removed and risk some asshole not putting something back together, and now you got misfires and vacuum leaks and who knows what else. This is an alternative. You do have to be careful when you're cutting through here. You do have some evap lines, it looks like, and let's see if I can get a good focus here. You have a little electrical harness there. This is the booster, by the way. This is the bottom of the booster you're looking at. You do have this little electrical harness that I had to be careful not to cut. So all this, as you're cutting with the grinder, be mindful not to cut through to the backside of anything. But I had a lot of little things like ABS sensor and all that. And like I said, when I zip this up, all that will be clipped back in place, and it'll just look like a cool race car with clips there. But you won't be able to see it driving down the road. Again, this will come back down and cover all that. So when the tire's on and you look through the tire, all you'll see is this bent back down and covered back down. But now we have a shortcut, hell of a shortcut. Bloop bloop, loving it, huh? Easy peasy starter, right back on the road. And the next time he ever comes to me to do a starter again, I ain't gonna charge him much because most of the hard work's already done. I'll have easy access to it. Now, he ordered this starter on eBay. I don't know. I would assume it's made in China. I've had starters that I bought at O'Reilly's, AutoZone, Advanced Auto Parts, and they're duds. They're freaking duds. And brand new out the box, not good. And then you put it in, you have problems, you got to take it back out, go exchange it for another one. And on something like this, if that were to happen, the labor involved in removing the intake manifold all over again to get to that starter, nightmare, right? For the mechanic and the customer, because I'm going to charge them again. If I got to do it again, it's not my fault that Auto Parts gave me a defective part. I should get paid labor for having to pull that out and do it again. And in this situation, let's say that this eBay starter is bad and he has to ship it back to the sender and go get another one at AutoZone or wherever. It wouldn't be the end of the world to have to take it back out again if it was defective in any way. So that's another major upside to this. And in the future, if it ever needed to be done again, I know the little trick with the ratchet, with the double wobbler through there, up in there, routing it through there. Took a little bit of patience. That back bolt is a bear. I'm gonna clean, blow all that off. I'm gonna shove a rag in that hole so nothing gets down inside of there, and then I'm gonna hit that with the blower, get all that dirt off, hit a can of brake parts cleaner, clean all that up. As my grandfather used to say to me all the time, you gonna work on it, make it look like you worked on it, gosh darn it. So we're gonna clean it up real nice before we put the new starter in there. Once hot water pipe bolt back through there. Put that one back through there. Do not forget, obviously, power wire, electrical plug, oil dipstick, refasten, fuel lines, refasten, all that. Easy peasy, man. 1, 2, 3. And the hard part was cutting everything out, taking the time to do all that now. But once this is all put back together, the guy didn't have to pay to redo his intake manifold just to have access to this. And he has an easy access door to this now. And again, for the last time, for those of y'all that are tripping, oh my God, you hacked that guy's truck up just to do a starter? This ain't your average starter. This is a lot like the European cars, where you have to remove the whole intake manifold or drop the transmission to do it. And on this one, you can't even drop the transmission because that back bolt, that stud bolt back there, even with the transmission out, is a bear to get to. It's facing the opposite direction. It's not fun bolt to get to. So the easiest way on this one is not dropping the tranny, and we ain't about to drop no tranny, like I said, just to do a damn starter. So the easiest way on this is either remove the whole entire intake manifold or cheat like I did. So for somebody like in his situation, yo, this is my little work truck, I need to get it back on the road ASAP. I'm in a jam, I need it quick, hard times, I can't pay a whole bunch of labor. Well, here's your option. Access door, cut it out, cheat, call it whatever you want to. I don't care if you call it cheating. It gets the job done. It makes it affordable for the customer. He's still gonna have this covered for water and mud and everything like that. And it doesn't affect the rigidity of the strength of the cab or anything like that. Now you could argue, oh, in an accident it'd be more of a crumple on this side than on the other side. You get hit on this side, it's an insurance write-off. This is an older car. Who the hell cares? In that case, you're gonna trust your airbag more than anything. But like I said, it's a solid frame here that would take most of the impact. That frame runs all the way to the front. Would the top fender and everything cave in more with this cutout? Yeah, it would. But who the hell cares? Like I said, that's for the insurance company to repair. Anyways, the odds of him getting into an accident here are slim to none. I don't wish that on him. But for a quick little repair, this is the way to go. Anyways, don't want to make this video too long. Just wanted to show for somebody in a jam that can't pay a bunch of money on labor, I'm screwed. How do I replace the starter on my 2009 Chevy Colorado? This is an option to consider. Thanks for watching. God bless. Good luck. Be safe, everyone. Peace. Out of here. Dinner time, y'all. Dinner time, and then put this back together before I go to bed. Love y'all. Good night. I'm out.